Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Crypto Unplugged. Doc here as usual, and joining us today is Grant Cardone, fund manager and CEO of Cardone Capital and Cardone Training Technologies, with a multifamily real estate portfolio worth over $4.7 billion and as one of the top crowdfunders globally, raising over $1.4 billion via social media. Grant is considered a powerhouse in the world of business and finance. He's a New York Times bestseller author, international speaker, and creator of 10X Global Movement. Listeners, you may also know him from Undercover Billionaire on Discovery Channel, where he surpassed expectations by building a 5.5 million business in just 90 days during COVID as well. Both Oz and I are excited to have him on Crypto Unplugged to discuss crypto, Bitcoin, and the future of finance. Grant, pleasure. Thanks for coming on our show. How you been keeping?
Thank you. It's so good to be unplugged.
That's it. That's what we're all about. Our philosophy is no holds barred, talk freely. There's all about transparency. And I know, watching your show, particularly with the Undercover Billionaire, you're all about transparency.
Yeah. So, just to speak about that show, I was dropped off in Pueblo, Colorado, which is a very, very poor town in the middle of Colorado. And I was dropped off with no money, no place to live, no food, no water. And the mission was with $100 to build a $1 million business. And I did it. I actually did it 15-degree weather. I live in Miami, and 15 degrees, dude. There's snow on the ground. I don't have any money. I can't use my name. I can't use my social media. I can't use my credit cards. I can't call a bank. I have no place to live, no food, no water, nothing. And I built a $5.5 million business during COVID. Under an assumed name. So it just goes to show you, if somebody has the right strategies, they can do anything they want to do. They don't need money and they don't need fame, but it helps. It's good to be with you guys because you guys, Unplugged is a famous show.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for endorsing that. What we're talking about, because we're going to come back onto your journey as Undercover Billionaire show later on, and the mindset as well. But, talking about Bitcoin's role in the global economy, Grant, given Bitcoin's recent surge past 100,000, today it's about 104,000. I mean, how do you perceive it evolving in the role of the global economy? And do you see it becoming a mainstream asset class, or would it still remain like a speculative investment?
Yeah, so I've been investing in Bitcoin since 2013.
Fantastic, yeah.
Actually, I was given some. I was given 115 pieces for a speaking gig.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was. I said, sure, I'll take it. They couldn't pay me in money. Oh. And I happened to be in Las Vegas where the event was. And they said, would you come down? We don't have any money, but we'll pay you in this thing called Bitcoin. I said, sure, man, I'll whatever you take dinner, I'll take Bitcoin, I'll take a donkey. So I still have that Bitcoin today, by the way. And so I think it was $500 in or 480, something like that. And then I've been buying it ever since, because I've been watching the volatility of it and its liquidity and the fact that it's a digital currency that, we're already there anyway. Visa, MasterCard, American Express are all digital forms of money. So is the US dollar. You don't really get money. You get digits transferred into an account worldwide. And so, yeah, I think it's here to stay. I don't think this is a little thing. We just created a fund, an $89 million fund with real estate and Bitcoin. So as more people continue to innovate with the blockchain and with not just Bitcoin, but ETH and Ripple and Solana and whatever the next developments are, I believe this will be a game changer, particularly with the Trump administration that's coming in right now.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because that's what my question was. How do you think the Trump administration in the US with a regulatory landscape, do you think it would help cryptocurrencies going forward?
100%. I mean, if you look at who's on his cabinet, the Senate, the Treasury, Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, Donald's three boys, Barron, Don Jr., and Eric are all very pro-crypto. I think that you're going to get an announcement here on January 20th, the first day he's in, of something that'll be extraordinary to make America the world leader in the crypto space. Mike Saylor's been there a couple of times to Mar-a-Lago to meet with the Trumps. So to me, the writing's on the wall. It might be why we're getting a surge today.
It seems like you got some spoilers, but maybe you don't want to share what's going to happen on the 20th.
If you saw my face right now, you'd see me blushing.
That's great. And the other thing I want to talk about is that you've compared, obviously, because you're mainly into real estate, right? So you've compared Bitcoin's scarcity to that of real estate. Could you maybe elaborate on the parallels you see between Bitcoin and traditional assets like real estate, and how investors might balance portfolios?
Yeah, great question. So I think real estate people and Bitcoin people have a lot of similarities, right? They like the scarcity of the asset. For instance, we buy institutional quality real estate in the Southeast United States. I mean, beautiful 300 to 500 unit complexes in locations that can't be duplicated. Once we buy one of those buildings, there's not 21 million of those. There's one. It's one of a kind. When you buy something in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, New York, Houston, Dallas, Austin, it's on that location. If you're buying a 10 location, a top 10 perfect location, there's not 21 million of those. There's one of them. There might be other apartment complexes in the neighborhood, but that one location is one location. And so one is the scarcity that Bitcoin and real estate, maybe not all the cryptos, but certainly Bitcoin and real estate have in common. And then the polarities or the opposites. They say opposites attract. Real estate's very illiquid. Obviously, Bitcoin is probably the most liquid asset on the planet. Bitcoin doesn't cash flow, but the real estate cash flows. So those are nice opposites. Put these two together and you got a marriage. And that's what we've done with our real estate fund at cardonecapital.com/Bitcoin. We basically combined an $80 million asset with $15 million worth of Bitcoin. And then we dollar cost average into the Bitcoin every month from the cash flow. And we end up with a piece of real estate, institutional quality real estate, that cash flows at it should have an internal rate of return of about 12 or 15%. That could literally go to 35 or 40% per year and have the combination of the cash flow, the write-offs, liquidity, the no liquidity, the volatility, and the no volatility. It's a great combination.
So that's your Space Coast Bitcoin fund, right? That you've recently launched.
Yeah, exactly right. We bought a deal right outside of where Elon Musk is launching rockets to Mars, and it's 300 units. I think with the real estate's $88 million to build, and we're in it for 72 plus $15 million worth of Bitcoin. So, and then we dollar cost average each month for the first 4 years. So we end up with $72 million worth of real estate that we think is worth 88 the day we bought it. And we end up with about $29 million worth of Bitcoin in year 4.
Wow.
This thing can be explosive.
Now, Grant, interesting that you give an analogy of this opposites attract between, real estate and illiquidity of real estate and the liquid nature of Bitcoin, marriage of opposites. Recently you were invited, I think, to Dubai, gave a presentation of Benghazi as well. And you're talking about, recently, isn't it? Because I was supposed to go there, but I couldn't make it. But thing is that talking about these developers, then, there's a misnomer amongst many people talking about cryptocurrencies, and we can see the integration between now, a place like this, for example, in the GCC countries where they take USDT or Bitcoin to purchase assets or traditional assets like real estate. I mean, coming to the US, do you think this is something that will be, a foregone conclusion with the Trump administration coming in?
Being what? The people are going to use crypto to buy real estate?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to have to move a lot for that to happen. I personally don't see people trading their Bitcoin for real estate.
Yeah, so you see it more as a store of value rather than a currency, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, what I see is, and look, I could be wrong, but what I see is, after studying this for 6 or 7 years and meeting with Mike Saylor a couple times, what I believe will come out of this, for instance, our Bitcoin real estate fund, is new products will emerge from this where imagine if I did 10 of these real estate funds and I had $800 million worth of real estate, a couple $100 million worth of Bitcoin, and I'm dollar cost averaging every month. I have no debt. I could put a bond. I could get a bond against this, a corporate bond against this real estate Bitcoin, because it's all equity. This has never been done before at scale, by the way. So we could turn this into a REIT. I had somebody say, "Hey man, can I trade Bitcoin for your real estate fund?" I'm like, "Why would you do that? You're going to pay capital gains on your Bitcoin. You would trade fiat into the real estate Bitcoin fund because the fiat's garbage." I mean, for 10 years, I've been telling people, get rid of your money. You convert to steel, concrete, glass, or in this case, Bitcoin. So I don't personally see, I guess there's going to be the Bitcoin millionaires that go out and buy the Bugatti but a lot of these guys are degenerates in the space too,
Yeah, degenerates.
But it's the first time they've ever had money, so they're probably going to misuse the money. And a number of these people haven't planned for taxes either.
Definitely, the crypto space is full of degens, as we know. And just going to that, obviously, Bitcoin's very volatile. And we know just in the last, I would say, in the last couple of years, we've seen Bitcoin it was around $70,000, and it crashed all the way down to 15,000. So, how are you worried about these future prices, in terms of the volatility, or are you looking past that?
Well, when I combine the two, if Bitcoin sits by itself, and you have, let's say you're buying at 102 today and it collapses to 70, which I think it can. I can see $70,000 Bitcoin at any time. If the stock market rolls over by a couple thousand points, Bitcoin's falling with it no matter what. I mean, it's just a liquidity thing. Like, people need liquidity. They're going to sell their Bitcoin. So I'm just going to buy more at that point. But when you put the two together, if you put real estate, which is illiquid, with Bitcoin that is very liquid, and let's say the Bitcoin falls by 70% the way it historically has, if the real estate is the base underneath it, let's say you had, in this case, $80 million worth of real estate and $20 million worth of Bitcoin. If the Bitcoin falls to 10 million, you still have the $80 million worth of real estate underneath it. You're not selling your Bitcoin for a loss.
Right, yeah.
You're just going to add more Bitcoin. You're going to add more Bitcoin every month. I'll send you a graph so you guys can actually see this and maybe insert it into the interview.
Yeah, that would be good.
But it's beautiful because we're bringing in, we just introduced this 3 weeks ago. It's the first of its kind. We've had people that have never invested with me in the real estate only that are now investing with me. And we've had people that have never bought any Bitcoin that are buying the real estate Bitcoin fund because we've removed the volatility from the scene and given them stability, depreciation, cash flow, and the upside, the explosive upside of the Bitcoin that now makes the real estate that's so stable and predictable, a game changer.
So, just a question on that in terms of, you were saying that, for example, if the stock market rolls over, do you have any forecasts? Like, there's been a lot of talk I've seen over the past, I would say, year or two, that everybody's predicting a recession is coming. They were predicting it last year. Now it's this year. What's your take on that? Or don't you really even bother about, that sort of stuff?
I mean, I think we've been in a recession in this country the entire time Joe Biden's been in office.
Right.
But he was definitely in a recession, maybe a coma.
A lot of listeners will love that comment, by the way.
What's that?
I said a lot of the listeners actually going to like that comment.
Yeah. So, but they've been lying to the American people, and so we've heard about the job claims. We've had 15 out of the last 18 months. The job numbers were revised downward. 40% of those jobs are government jobs. 30% of them are part-time jobs, maybe more than that. And so I already think the automobile industry is in a recession. The home industry, housing industry, is in a full-blown recession. You just had California get burnt to the ground, 10,000 homes. So you're going to have economic problems there for years. We have the highest credit card delinquencies that we've ever had. We have apartment delinquencies, apartment loan delinquencies. These are institutional quality apartments, big, giant companies that have the highest delinquencies that we've had. But the problem is the government and the Fed refuse to tell the American people, the truth. And this is Joe Biden's government that is going to brag about, he had the most jobs and the best economy. Look, if you're in 5 or 6 or 7 investments in America, this economy's been great for you. But 50% of America is not in those investments. And the other 50% that is invested doesn't have the Magnificent Seven, the Facebooks and the Meta, the Metas and the Netflix or the Amazons as investments. So, the whole thing's a circus, man. Now what's going to happen, I think, when Donald Trump gets in is the media is going to have every headline. We're in a recession. Unemployment numbers are going up. The world's coming to an end. So Trump's going to have his hands full because they're going to do everything they can to derail him. And as you guys know, if the real estate liquidates, the Bitcoin liquidates with it.
So do you see something the economy being in a bit of trouble over the next year or so?
Well, look, if Elon and Vivek, actually do what they say they're going to do, which is cut the government, you're going to have unemployment numbers go up.
Yep.
It's going to be a second to clean it up. If you're going to reduce revenue, right? Or I'm sorry, if you're going to reduce spending at a government level, it's going to contract spending. So you can't contract spending and not have a hit. But to clean it up, maybe we do need to take a little hit for a second.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I think I see, especially in the market, because I do a lot of analysis in the market as well, and I do see things maybe not yet, but coming to a bit of a problem, maybe down towards mid 2025, towards the end of it. But it's interesting that you, on an economic standpoint, you kind of have these views, in terms of the government and stuff. So it's quite interesting.
Well, dude, the rest of the world is in a recession right now.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no, China's in a major recession. All of Europe's in a recession. Australia's in a recession. Japan's in a recession. Show me a place and I'll tell you it's in a recession. So, or they're in a war. So, now America supposedly is not in a recession. Houses aren't selling. Everything's on credit. Everything we're doing in this country, in America, is on credit cards. The savings rates are down. Delinquencies are up. Credit card debt is up. Credit card delinquencies are up. You can't sell a house in this country if you wanted to. So sounds like a damn recession to me.
Yeah, Grant, I mean, just something that you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast episode that you sat down with Michael Saylor a few times as well and talking about altcoins. You mentioned Ethereum, Solana, with Ripple as well. And, with Gary Gensler's exit interview yesterday as well, there's got a lot of views, of course, with that, what he was saying. But in terms of ETFs and altcoins, I mean, what's your views on Ethereum or Solana or XRP potential ETFs and, how that aligns with previous Bitcoin ETFs?
So, look, there's not, if Bitcoin's the only winner, then you don't have an industry. In no industry, in the television industry, there was, ABC, NBC, CBS back in the day, right? There wasn't one. Yeah. It wasn't like
monopoly.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have other players. I mean, you're not going to have one grocery store. You're not going to have one car dealer or auto manufacturer. You got to have more than one winner if an industry is going to be created. I think, we're just at the beginning of this.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that.
The fact that we figured out how to put real estate and Bitcoin together, and nobody's been able to figure that out in 15 years because they overcomplicated it. And they were talking about all this goofy bullshit, like put real estate on the blockchain, turn it into coins,
real asset.
Yeah, real estate is going to be an NFT. Like I've heard whack ideas.
Yeah, or the metaverse, you can buy real estate by metaverse or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've taken it down to the raw, financial, stripped it down in the sense.
Yeah, it's just very simple. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't overly complicated. Unfortunately, a lot of people, and what I believe is holding back this space is two things. One, the Ripple people or XRP people want to argue with the Bitcoin people, and the Bitcoin maxis.
I'm glad you're talking about this. We'll come on to that. Yeah, sorry.
Like, guys, what is Ripple? Ripple's got what, a couple $100 billion worth of assets, maybe, and Bitcoin's got $2 trillion. There's $350 trillion worth of real estate on this planet. 350 trillion. Stocks in America, 150 trillion. ETFs, mutual funds, $40 trillion. Like, these two things, XRP and Bitcoin, are not in competition with one another. Gold's a couple, I don't know, $20 trillion. Like, you're not competing with Bitcoin, and Ripple and Solana, ETH are not competing with one another. You're competing with world assets. And that also is going to take a hit. Like, I think gold gets consumed by Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Grant, just you mentioning this because, look, the space is also full of a lot of toxicity in the space, like any space that you get, particularly in its infancy as well. And, particularly with maximalists, I'm glad that you mentioned, for example, that if it's only one, if there's only Bitcoin, it's not actually going to do anything useful for the space, whereas altcoins, it actually, matures the space in the space.
Yeah, if you start a business, whatever the business is, the pickle business, and you're the only one that does the pickle business, you don't have a business. You have to have competition in order to have an industry. And if you don't have an industry, you don't have growth. So everybody should be pulling for everybody else's, evolvement. Now, that being said, I think somebody said that there was like 300,000 coins coming out this year. I mean, that's insanity too. But that's what always happens in a space. It's a gold rush.
Of course, Californian gold rush, same type of concept, isn't it? It's a Wild West.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wild, wild west.
So I was just going to say, for example, for, educational resources for investors, for individuals looking to deepen the understanding of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, what resources or strategies would you recommend for them?
Study. I mean, just study and then look at how you can lay something creative outside the box, right? Like, I met with Mike, Mr. Saylor, a couple of times, and he was suggesting that I go public with my companies. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not public, and that's going to take 18 months. So how can I do it now? I didn't, when he was telling me this, I didn't say I can't do that. I just said, how can I do it without going public? And so we just kind of kept working with what could we do rather than some of these very complicated ideas. I literally had somebody tell me, guys, that you should put your real estate on the blockchain. And I said, well, how am I going to get the SEC to approve that? And they were like,
exactly.
Well, worry about that later. And I'm like, bro, you're talking about me worrying about from a jail cell. You ain't rich if you're in jail.
Definitely. No, you're right.
So now we figured out how to do it where there's zero, like no issues from the SEC. And it was so simple and so obvious. Once we did it, it was like, I'm like, bro, this has been sitting here the whole time. I could have done this 4 or 5 years ago. We'll have 10 of these funds up by June of this year and move the whole 10 into a REIT and go public with it. So it's not very complicated. You do have to find the right real estate, and you still got to understand real estate and how to operate the real estate.
Yeah, Grant, I mean, talking about this mindset as well, in the beginning of the podcast, you're talking about Undercover Billionaire, okay, going into a small town in Colorado with $100, no real name used. You had to use a fake name, no contacts, no social media. This is a real test of mindset, isn't it? Because many of the listeners who are listening to this podcast, interested in crypto, of course, but, comes of building this type of mindset and, in the face of adversity, what tips or challenges would you say that you went through in the darkest period of time? and how you potentially overcame them in a really short space of time?
Well, look, I mean, you need a strategy more than a mindset. It helps that you've done something successfully multiple times, right? So you know you can. The first time you ever do anything, you're just filled with uncertainty because you don't know if it's going to work. So if I was 26, I don't know that I could have done it because I didn't believe in myself. But when you're 66 and you've done it across a number of industries, I'm not bragging here. I'm just saying there is some wisdom and confidence that comes from 40 years of figuring out how to advance the ball, right? So it's not certainty. There was no certainty about it, but I did know I did understand the strategy. Like the strategy was 1, have a target. Number 2, do the math. And basically the target in this case was $1 million in 90 days. Then I simply did the math. Who's got $1 million? Who can help me build $1 million business in 90 days? It's not deadbeats. I didn't have any money, so Bitcoin wasn't a choice. You can't win the lottery. I don't have any money to buy a lottery, right? So it's like, that's not a business either, by the way. I couldn't be a stripper because nobody's going to pay me $1 million to strip. I guess I could be Nancy Pelosi, but that job's already taken. So like how do you do $1 million? And I can't be a salesman in 90 days and make that much money selling something. I can't use my own name. So what do I do? What is the path, right? So it's basically the target, the math, and then the path, picking the vehicle. And it's very simple. It's not very complicated. And unfortunately, most people complicate everything and never get anywhere because they spend most of their time planning and organizing and not doing.
Just a question I had as well, because we get this question a lot, being in the crypto space for many years. You always get new investors coming in, or even people who are investing in, a different asset class and then coming into crypto. So what advice would you give somebody coming into the crypto space? Like you mentioned, thousands of tokens, maybe it's confusing for them. How could they become successful in the cryptocurrency landscape?
Well, I think, I guess you could be a miner. I don't want to do that. I don't know how you do that with Bitcoin, right? Because why do I need you if you need to add value to the space? What we've done with the real estate, adding the real estate combination, putting the two together. Look, I'm bringing people to Bitcoin that have never considered Bitcoin as an investment. And I'm also bringing Bitcoiners to real estate that have never bought real estate. So you have to add value. Like, the bread maker, when I get done buying his bread, at some point, somebody's got to add value and sell me a cake. Because if he just stays in his bread lane, at some point, I'm going to be like, I don't want bread. And somebody's going to make a cake. And then I'm going to say, hey, I want some cake and donuts and pies. And you got to expand the product line. And that's what I would tell people, like, find out something you're good at, figure out how to combine these two, put these two together and let them dance.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's an interesting point that you have to, it's always important bringing value, especially into this space, which is, it's just such a new space, the cryptocurrency, basically industry.
Bitcoin in the future, a lot of people are interested in, the sexy questions, you can say, price predictions or in this cycle. I mean, I'm not sure if you're someone who looks at price predictions because you're talking more of a DCA and how to integrate a space which is completely opposite to Bitcoin and vice versa. But, just for entertainment purposes, is this something that you keep an eye on, or do you believe that Bitcoin where it will end up in this cycle or in coming cycles, and would the volatility as well start to reduce in future cycles?
Yeah, so I think I do look at predictions, and we model out what we think our real estate fund can do, and we have to deliver that to our investors to give them some type of direction and certainty. I think we could hit 250 this year and pull back to 160 or lower.
You think so?
But look, I just pushed 250 out to next year. So,
okay.
I respect you a lot, Grant, but I can't agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's fine. So Where do you think we get?
I think personally, I don't think we get, but I think the max we can get is 170.
170.
That's why. That's the max. I would say it would go to.
Look, I think we could hit the one. I agree with you. I think we could hit 150 and pull all the way back to 70,000. But
that's a fair point. I would say that is a fair.
No, so I'm just saying where we could spike to, right? We could spike there.
Yeah.
And then pull way back. I mean, that's I hope we do. I wish we'd pull to 70 today. So, because I have a 10-year horizons, I'm not thinking about selling the Bitcoin. I'm thinking about selling the real estate 7 years out and owning the Bitcoin for free.
Absolutely, accumulating.
You and Michael Saylor got sort of that same kind of mindset, I guess, when it comes to investment, the long game, the really
yeah. So I'm buying real estate with no debt, right? We bought $500 million worth of real estate last year with no debt, no mortgage. Nobody's got a damn. This is best in class real estate in great locations. So our hold time is 10 years, 20 years, maybe never sell it. Keep it like the damn Vatican. And, so let's just take 5 years. I could see $1 million Bitcoin in 5 years by 2030.
Yeah, no, that's
Saylor.
Great.
Saylor was talking about 13 million. He was talking about 10 billionaires buying $1 billion worth of real estate, a Bitcoin. He wasn't talking about Federal Reserves, state of Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Texas. Bro, if Texas puts this on their balance sheet, then California's going to do it, Florida will do it, New York will do it, bang, bang, bang. And then where does this thing go? I have no clue.
Just a question, actually, because you probably know or have a lot of much more experience in this. I listened. I think I listened to the Fed speak. I think it was the FOMC, when they said they can't buy Bitcoin because of a law change and things like that. But do you see that America basically making Bitcoin, purchasing Bitcoin like El Salvador and other countries did, and maybe they would need a law change and something like that? How would that work?
When the Fed was speaking the other day, I put it on mute, but I was watching it, hoping somebody would kill him because I hate him that much. Joke, right? But I don't want anybody to.
No, don't worry.
I do hope that Trump replaces him. I think Jerome Powell thinks he can't be replaced, but I think he will be. He's an ancient dinosaur, like most of these people are, and he's not thinking about the future. Bitcoin ends up on our Federal Reserve, and I wouldn't be surprised if they figure out how to work XRP out in the process as well.
Oh wow, XRP fans will love that. They'll love that. They would, I'm sure. Now, Grant, Cardone Capital Space Coast Bitcoin Fund. I mean, if you were to give it in a nutshell and also talk about future possible plans or venturing out as well, I mean, what could you give us?
Look, it's a brilliant, very brilliant, simple way to buy Bitcoin and not really. I'm literally getting Bitcoin for free. I'm buying 80. You have to buy real estate below replacement costs. So in this case,
okay, so just give us a case study, for example.
Well, we just did our first one. So my case study is an $88 million project that we bought for 72. We included $15 million worth of Bitcoin, and then every month we add Bitcoin out of the cash flow. The property cash flow is $3.6 million a year, and that'll go up to about $5 million a year in the first 7 years. And we use the cash flow from the real estate to add dollar cost average into the Bitcoin. So in year 4, we could spin off the real estate. I'm looking at a graph right now. We'd spin off the real estate. We'd make $20 million on the real estate sale, and we would own $136 million worth of Bitcoin for free. So we sold the real estate, made $20 million, distributed to our investors, and we own $136 million worth of Bitcoin that we didn't pay a penny for. Our cost basis is 0. And it's beautiful, man.
It sounds so beautiful. I think Oz is going to be emailing you with an application for,
bro, it's the fastest raise we've ever done. I don't take money from institutions, so we I don't take money from BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, none of the institutions. I do this with regular people. I've crowdfunded almost $2 billion with no ad budget, no broker fees, no middleman, nothing. And then when we introduced this 3 weeks ago, I had people that have never invested with me, investing with me. I had Bitcoin people that have never bought real estate, investing with me. Real estate people that have never bought Bitcoin, investing with me. It has been unbelievable acknowledgement by the public of a product that was just sitting there waiting. Now, imagine we own the real estate and the Bitcoin, let's say in year 5. The two of them together, I paid $88 million. The two of them together, if I hit $1 million Bitcoin, you think we hit $1 million in 5 years?
5 years, let's see. Wasn't 35 years? I would say probably, I don't know, 5 years might be pushing it, but I would say maybe 500,000.
Fidelity predicted $1 million.
You know what? A lot of these guys don't know what they're doing when they're predicting markets. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. Because
I think it would hit 108,000 in 24.
No, a lot of people didn't, but I don't know. Because when it comes to price predictions and things like this,
who knows, right?
It's very hard to
give a shit if you didn't pay anything for it.
No,
that's what it comes down.
We basically have 350 coins for free. My real estate paid for the 350 coins.
No, I would say your model is great because at the end of the day, if you're getting it for free, who cares? You're making money.
Exactly. So
that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and so I also think back to your government questions earlier. You know, Howard Lutnick is Commerce Secretary. He's got a couple $100 million worth of Bitcoin. Nobody was predicting this stuff. Bissett, the Treasury Secretary, he's very pro-crypto. He's got a bunch himself. Donald Trump, Donald Jr., Eric Barron, these guys are all very pro-crypto. And you're going to have new products come out. So rather than me getting a loan from Fannie or Freddie Mac on my real estate, maybe there's a new product called the BitMac.
You know what it is? The way I see it, the way I see markets and the way I've been looking at it, it just works in cycles. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin long term. Don't get me wrong. I think it will get to $1 million eventually. Yeah. It's just that I just think that obviously the way no one knows price, it's very hard to actually, certainly see where it's going. But long term, I think, it's a sure bet. So I wouldn't be worried regardless.
And we've come a long way, isn't it, Grant, since that, speech that you gave for not getting paid and getting paid in Bitcoin. I mean, casting your mind back to that time, I'm sure even you couldn't predict with all your optimism that Bitcoin would reach where it is right now.
Dude, if I'd have known that, I'd have bought another.
I'm sure
another 1,000 pieces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but decentralized finance, DeFi. I mean, what's your view on this in terms of how it is, against traditional finance?
Well, look, everybody wants the government out of their business, right?
Yeah.
And that they're not going to go away because they're the mafia. So
yeah, definitely,
they're not going away. Like, and anything we can do to grab, 10 seconds of more control, if that's all it is, any advantages the citizens can get around the world, you should try to take it.
So you're all up for whatever it disrupts temporarily, even if it's...
Well, I'm a disruptor. I love disrupt. I'm going to California for 6 months to see if I can wake up since the fires happen. I'm going over there to see if I can get to wake up the people of California if they're hostile enough to actually make a demand change. So
yeah, it's crazy what's happening there. It's quite shocking on the news. I've been watching the fires.
Yeah.
Just hope everybody's okay.
Well, they're not.
Yeah, we wish everyone the best. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a very sad situation, and we wish everyone the best, and for all safety as well. Yep. Now, Grant, any closing thoughts that you've got to share? You can, you're free to give us your thoughts or any messages that you've got to our community as well, or the community in general.
Just, man, you go out and produce as much fiat as you can. Keep your cost of living down. Don't improve the quality of your life in the beginning. Use fiat to improve the quality of your assets. Put some ET on your ass. Yeah. And quit trying to improve the quality of your life so quickly. Improve the quality of your assets and let let that investment in assets improve the quality of your life later. I think a lot of people have their priorities screwed up. They're trying to improve the quality of their life. They're trying to act like ballers and shot callers when they're not.
Yep, definitely.
And one thing I did in my career was I worked my ass off to get money. And when I got money, I didn't go spend it. I invested it. And then one day my investments improved the quality of my life.
Yeah, that's such a brilliant message and such a simple one, but unfortunately it's not as applied, as widely as we hope. But, mostly our community hopefully will take this message on board, and us as well. Grant, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Raw, speaking out, I've learned a lot about your project as well and how you've developed and managed to get this Bitcoins for free, and hopefully you'll gain a lot more in your portfolio as well. And Grant, hopefully you'll come on our show later on sometime in the near future as well.
Look forward to it, my friend. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks a lot, Grant.
Thanks a lot, Grant. Thank you, Grant.
And have a great weekend, yeah?
Thanks.
Listeners, thanks a lot, and see you guys in the next episode.